Ahoy, me buckos! Yarr! Ahoy! Ahoy and well met! This isn't just streaming. We don't just stream here. This is dreaming. Welcome to the Gaming Galleon. I'm Cap'n Raz, and I'm your host for the next 60 minutes as we traverse the Silicon Seas. And what could possibly be out on those seas? Is there action? Is there danger? Is there mystery? Is there mirth? We're just going to have to dig in and find out, aren't we? We're going to be celebrating a very special game for old Cap'n Raz here. A very, very special game. A game I spent many an hour sitting in the dark, hunched over a television screen, eyes squinted, hair disheveled, maybe a minor odor of cheese in the air, but always with a smile a mile wide. We're going to be celebrating a game called White Knight Chronicles for the PlayStation 3. Woo! If that just doesn't flood JRPG when you look at it. You know? Look at that. What's going on there, huh? Well, let me first tell you where we're at. I don't know how the navigator got us here. I can put two and two together and think, okay, I put a game into the navigator, and it says, are you ready to go to... And I say yes, and the ship speeds us along. Generally, I can get my head around that if we're going to somewhere like, I don't know, Las Vegas or Russia or, New Zealand or something like that. I can sense the point A to point B in my head somehow. But this one is beyond me. How we are sitting in the middle of Mage's Hollow is beyond my comprehension, because it doesn't exist on planet Earth. It doesn't even exist in a parallel dimension as far as I know. Mage's Hollow is all from inside my head. Every acre, every blade of grass, every person who's walking around the town, it's all been planted by Cap'n Raz years and years ago. And I haven't played this game in many years, at least half a decade, I'd say. And so the people and the places that we see in Mage's Hollow are all but lost in my memory. It's all a fog. But today we're going to rediscover it together. How could this be? How could we be playing a video game that you made? Well, that all goes back to a really awesome company called Level 5. You guys heard of Level 5? They've made some pretty great RPGs, JRPGs. I think their big breakout hit... Well, that's not true. They've made some stuff prior, but the one I was first associated with was Dark Cloud. It's Swords and Serpents. It's a dungeon crawler, but what makes it interesting is you actually build and customize villages. And they had a sequel. The sequel's pretty hard to get a hold of, and this one I played quite a bit. First one I haven't played, but this one I played a bunch. Never finished it. And again, it's about customizing a village. Another one I played a whole bunch, very much suggested to you because it's still on store shelves, is Fantasy Life for the 3DS. If you got a 3DS, this is a must-buy. It's basically a nice cross between Animal Crossing and a JRPG, a top-down JRPG, almost like a Link to the Past. But it's got customization up the yin-yang. I think there's like 15 different classes, ranging anywhere from, a mercenary to a fisherman. All totally levelable, and there's, of course, an economy and deep crafting system to make things like furniture and weapons. Weapons for your hand, and furnitures for your home. And then, of course, Rogue Galaxy, one that's basically on my retirement bucket list. Another very deep game by Level 5 that I don't know much about. I've played a couple sessions with. But it does take place in space, and you do play as a cadre of space pirates. Pretty exciting stuff, huh? Well, all these games are great. And they're all built around the player customizing a big part of their world. But White Knight Chronicles, and later on White Knight Chronicles 2, was Level 5's first foray into giving the player the ability to make a town, and even better, giving people the ability to share their town with others. That's right, you could have up to somewhere around 12 to 16 people, real other players, visiting you, having commerce or conversations right in the middle of the town that you created. It was a magical time, to be sure. Aside from that, you know, basically the online experience was very, very akin to Monster Hunter. 4 of you would go out. You would go on a mission, sometimes taking down a big boss, sometimes maybe gathering a laundry list of you know, resources and bringing them back to the host town, in our case, Mage's Hollow, trading them, using the parts for crafting, selling them, and then going back out into the wilderness for more adventure with your friends. I played a lot of this, and I think probably one of the saddest days for me in my gaming career was when the servers for this game shut down. It was really the only reason I stopped playing, to be honest. I think I got a girlfriend at the time too. JRPGs and girlfriends. That's almost like oil and water. Some of you would argue that, and for you, you know, God bless you. If you can make that mix happen, all the better. But for me, that's a real time sink, those JRPGs, and I had to let that one go. And I remember one day hearing, or maybe even getting a message from an old White Knight Chronicles friend saying the servers are shutting down, and that meant that all of those towns that I knew, all those towns that I visited, were now going to be not lost, but the bridges that connected me to them would be cut. So the only thing that, you know, us White Knight Chronicle veterans have left are the very forgettable one-player campaign and access to the town that we actually built during all those hours and hours and hours of grinding. So what do you guys say? Are you guys ready to step inside the head of Captain Raz? Now remember, this was before I had a pirate ship. This was pre-pirate ship, but post-pilot. So I did spend my time in Star Wars Battlefront, learned my way around an X-Wing, and spent my days ripping off ATSTs to piss off the Empire. This was post that. Kind of a calming time in my life, where I played a white mage. But really what today is going to be about, it's not going to be about taking down the enemy forces. It's not going to be about gathering resources. It's about rediscovering this town that I put together so painstakingly and have not visited. Not even a hair. Not a frame. All I did was boot the game up and put us in our town in the starting line. Spawned in, if you will. This is all going to be exploring that town and seeing what we left behind. Okay? Let's get started. I give you the JRPG love letter by Level 5, White Knight Chronicles, for the PlayStation 3. Right off the bat, you're going to love the music. Let me tell you. Oh. It's music. And who is this handsome devil we see here? Standing right outside the gates. Well. What happened to that hair, huh? Woo. There must be a nice barber in this town. Do they got a Bo-Rix? That's on here. They got the old controller. Uh-oh. My controller's screaming at me. Wouldn't it be terrible if we ran out of controller power? Well, fingers crossed, huh? So this is right outside of the town I named, Mage's Hollow, and you can see It's sitting in some sort of elven glade, forgotten. But there's more than just a gate, isn't there? And there's more than just a quest board. There's a whole land for us to explore. I don't remember anything about the mechanics of this game. I don't remember anything about who lives in this land, in this little city. So I don't know what we're going to find. I really don't. Is this going to be the shortest voyage ever? It might be. But it'll be full of discovery, that's for sure. And man, can I get the soundtrack? Please. Is there a vendor selling CDs? Already, nostalgia's popping because this right here is the most, what's the word I'm looking for? Communal part of town. This is where the fire is. And I remember people coming through that gate. Actual players. They'd pop in. There'd be a little alert. You know, Kupo 223 has entered Mage's Hollow. And then they'd start wandering around town. And for those of us who spent some time here, there's a good chance you'd find us sitting here. Oh, where was my spot? I had one particular spot I really liked. I think it was the barrel. Because my feet would jut out a little bit. Let's see if I remember how to sit down. God, it's all coming back. Look at this. Now look, this isn't anything big, but for a guy who only had a console and no PC, to have this kind of experience was really special. Especially for a free game. This was still at a time when MMORPGs were worth a lot of, or were expensive, and had monthly prices. So it was great to be able to meet with people in this kind of environment. This is basically a glorified lobby. You could invite friends here, and once the four of you were partied up, you could make your way out that gate and into the many different lands and regions of White Knight Chronicles. And for, like, as I said, from there on, it was basically like a Phantasy Star Online or a Monster Hunter. You know, 4 adventurers going out there trying to complete objectives. I don't know what this guy's story is, but let's take a look at him. Let's talk to him. Seems like he's telling a story. This is Timothy. We mages are great when it comes to magic, but not for much else. So this guy's a mage. We're not very strong, and our bones are kind of fragile, but we bleed really, really easily. Oh! And most of us are afraid of kittens. Alright, thanks, Tim. Okay, Tim. He's chatty. But if you want someone to torture your foes with a blast of magic, look no further. I like that. Alright, confidence is good. And, you know, that was the thing about Mage's Hollow. I believe I really fashioned this entire town as to be a mecca and safe haven for magic users. I think that was my whole end game, hence the name, Mage's Hollow. Let's see who else is sitting around the fire here. Oh, wow. Is it like a rabbit or something? Rick the rabbit. Is there a first-person view? I don't remember if there is. I'm going to say probably not. No, I don't think so. I was out zapping monsters earlier when I found some goodies, and I think you should have them. Oh, no, really? Go ahead, you work hard, real hard after all. Well, thank you. He gave me a fire giant whisker. Gee, are you sure I don't have to pay for you for this? Hey, here's a used lotto ticket. Now, as you can see here, we've got some sparklies going on here. This dead tree is giving off a bit of a sparkle, and you can actually see them in the horizon, too. This was another incentive for people to come to your town. If they were trying to make some sort of item, they could come to your town if you had the proper resources, like a dead tree, and harvest them. So let's dig around this tree and see what it's giving off. Tiny sapling. But I can't hold anymore. Oh, that's not a shock. I mean, who knows what's in my inventory? I'm not even going to bother. One thing that always confounded people about me in this game was I was literally the only user out there who would go into every adventure with no weapon. That drove people bat loony. Now, I know a lot of mages out there, a lot of you magic users would be like, so? You got your hands, brah. I'm sure you got like some dead bones on there or, you know, some sort of components. You're going to be blasting them. Yeah, well, in this game, you were really at your best when you were a jack of all trades. Even magicians had staves that they would use to up their potency. But you know, I did come from that old school D&D world where people just didn't use instrumentality. You know, the idea of you having your hands encumbered, even gloves, for an old school D&D user was almost unheard of. So I went into every battle with nothing. Only the spells that I had. And every spell I have... Let's take a look at it, shall we? Let's dig inside me. Every spell I use... Look, we got healing. We got heal all. We got cure. We got revive. Unbind. I believe that's to cure paralysis. Every spell I have on my... in my slot is all to help out the team. I don't have a single direct damage spell. And again, that would drive people bat loony until they realize that all of a sudden they have haste on them. They have their defense is up, their attack is up, and when you have 3 other guys out there fighting in real time, and every spell has a duration of maybe 30 to 60 seconds, that was quite a juggle. So I like to think I earned my keep in those times. And I would do my best to stay out of harm's way, because everything you see me wearing here, even though I believe I'm maxed out at like level 50, everything I wear, I have on, and all this I would usually wear into any quest I went into. It's all starter level gear. I never found anything that I liked more to wear in this game than this crazy white robe and this forest green cape. So here we got some sellers here. This looks like this is the market area. And encapsulating the fire pit. Let's see what Harry's selling. Good day. I'm sure you'll find my low prices as attractive as always. Harry, you're not that attractive. So what? These were all things that would show up and in my town according to the kinds of growth that I placed in my town. Every dead tree, every piece of foliage, every building all came together to give this guy the kind of inventory he has. And looking at this stuff, there's not a single weapon. This seems to be the item store. Let's see what kind of weapons you can buy in Mage's Hollow. Oh, here we go. Look at the detail, huh? Marcia. Marcia! Welcome. Please view my wares. I brought the finest goods from all over. What do you got, sweetheart? Alright, so you know, you could buy some basics here. Short swords, cleavers, battle axes. Oh, and we get to see what they look like? Can I take a look? Oh, yeah, there you go. And, you know, this is really where personal style came in. You know, are you going to go into battle with a staff? Are you going to go into battle with a bow and arrow? And I believe the classes were pretty strict. I don't think like a mage could go in with a master sword. I think you had to have a pretty high dexterity to have a bow. You had to pretty much commit to one weapon. I don't think you were switching in between weapons very often. I think once you went into a quest, you're basically your weapon determined your class. And once you were in a quest, you had to stick with that weapon that was over. You can repair. You're enhancing your stuff. So a lot of, you know, all the basic RPG tropes were wrapped up into this game. Now, what's this person selling? Looks like furniture? You gonna buy something, mate? Or are you gonna stand around with your finger up your nose? What a smartass. Okay, so this looks like these are combinable elements to make even rarer items. So again, people would be dropping in here to Old Mage's Hollow just to pick up resources and then walk right on past all the commiseration going on and head right out the door. How about that, huh? Alright, well, let's leave it here for now. There's still stuff to see. I don't know what. I'm not sure what is beyond the confines of the forest there, the fire pit there. Seems to be some sort of hill and a cliff. For all I know, it's nothing. Because it's been a long, long time. And I gotta tell you, it's nice to be back. But it's depressing, too. It's, anybody see my hat? Oh, man, why'd I put it all the way over there for? Hold on. Oh, my foot! Oh, God. Oh, man. I came down on my foot a couple days ago the wrong way. I don't know. I can move it around. It's just very sore. I don't think anything's broken because I can wiggle my toes. But it's what a pain to walk around right now. I don't know. I'm going to give it the weekend. We'll see. Every time I tell a girl that, they're like, typical man. Oh. Excuse me. All right. Booty? Who's up for some booty, huh? There's some good stuff in here. It's not going to blow the doors off. It's not a record holder, but it's very, very good stuff. Let's get started. Actually, this first one here is a bit of a mystery. This bag, I've got two deals here. One bag, I literally has been sitting in the trunk of my car in a bag for it's got to be over a year, and it's just been passed over and passed over and passed over. It's a stack of PlayStation 1 games that on the high end I got for $1. On the low end, 50 cents. There's no way I've spent more than $1. It just doesn't happen with PS2 games, PS1 games. You'll get the occasional seller asking $2 on the PS2 games and Xbox games. Never a PS1 game. It always seems to be they have no value to these whatsoever, which is unthinkable to me. I love the PS1. So we're gonna go high. We're gonna say we did $1. We made it on 50. It's been that long, and there's no receipt. Let's take a look and see what we got here. Okay. All right. Top Gun, Fire Will, Custom PlayStation Edition. I think what's exciting about this one is this was made at a time when this is a relatively early title, so it's still made at a time where full motion video was a big deal. So there's a lot of cutscenes here, starring people acting badly. And I believe if you squint your eyes, that top picture there is like the main drill sergeant, the head dude from Top Gun the movie. So he's probably doing his usual, barking orders shtick. So that's neat. But I mean, I think at the end of the day, this is just your basic arcade, flight sim. Small Soldiers. Small Soldiers. I believe, every so often I meet a guy who's like, did you ever play Small Soldiers? You remember that movie? Great movie. It says Full Scale Assault. I like that. Who made this? DreamWorks Interactive. It's 2-player co-op. That's pretty hot. It looks like it's split screen? I think it's both. No, it's probably split screen. Looks like a third-person shooter, and it says featuring Tommy Lee Jones as the voice of Chip Hazard. I'm willing to bet that's Chip Hazard right there. So there you go. Finally, a game where you can play as Tommy Lee Jones. All right. Nowhere to hide. Oh, here you go. More wrestling. We got SmackDown 2. Hey, look, know your role. Know your role, pal. I know my role. I'm a white mage. Always have been, alright? Who would The Rock play? Who would Triple H play in White Knight Chronicles? Are you thinking they have an axe or something? Who cares? Alright, Matt Hoffman's Pro BMX. Games like this lead me to believe that it was 50 cents and not $1. But usually, if someone presents a stack of $1 PS1 games, I'm not going to cherry pick. I'll just grab them all for them, get them out of there for them. And these are all in really nice condition. None of these are cracked. None of the cases are cracked. Very shiny. I mean, the SmackDown's very shiny. This one looks like it's almost brand new. That's nice. Oh, look. Let's complete the set. The original SmackDown. And apparently, I spoke too soon. There's cracks all. Wolverine got a hold of this one. Wolverine was playing this. Hey, can you see this guy? Who's that? No, right there. Oh, man. We got to get that 4K camera. All right. Casper. Maybe this came out when the movie came out. A haunting 3D challenge by Interplay. I don't think this has a very good reputation. I don't know. Were there any others? Oh, my God. Just a few more here. How did this get in here? For whatever reason, they had a copy of Toy Commander for the Dreamcast. It's kind of a flight sim of sorts. Okay. Now I'm thinking I just dropped a couple other... In the past year, a couple other CDs made it in here that weren't supposed to be. Here's Jimmy Buffett. Far Side of the World. Look, I collect Jimmy Buffett CDs. Don't ask me why. I don't pay up the nose for them, that's for sure. But for whatever reason, I collect Jimmy Buffett CDs. The secret's out. First Mate Bismuth wouldn't... He's probably rolling his eyes out the door right now. Ready to Rumble Boxing 2. I don't know. People love this game. I never gave it a shot. It looks dumb to me. But hey, that's me judging. It's made by Midway. You know, as far as I'm concerned, it's generally a company that can do no wrong. So, I don't know. We've got it for N64 too. I know that. And then finally, WWF Warzone. So there you go. We had a real man's lot here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Lots of sports titles here. I really feel like maybe I did 50 cents on this, but I can't confirm that. So we're going to say $1. $8. $8. Okay, not too bad. All right, let's see the deal that we did recently. This is just last week. God bless our good friend Ashley. It's really just luck of the draw going to this place. They seem to be the only place left that, for whatever reason, seems to be consistently still dropping retro games. And it makes you wonder where we're going to be in a year. But hey, that's okay. I mean, look, if I have to start pulling out, you know, $5 PlayStation 4 games and 50-cent PlayStation 3 games every show, I have no problem with that. Just keep the booty coming, honey. But it's always nice when we get some carts, and that's what we have here. I asked if they had anything. She pulled them out, spread them out there. I'm like, oh, this is not bad at all. Then she said, oh, I'm not sure if the other guy who just stepped out, the other worker, wants any of this. And that's another big problem with the pawn shops, is now you're getting jackasses working there who used to work at GameStop. And now they're starting to, you know, dig in to what's coming out of the warehouse before you even get there. Luckily, this guy didn't want any of this stuff. And the only thing that the girl who was getting it for, she didn't have a copy of Super Mario World, which was originally in the slot. We have that, of course. She didn't. So, of course, you know, anytime someone else gets a game that, especially a vendor who's been hooking me up, if there's a game they want, you know, I'm always happy to see that they find it. In fact, they said, man, if you don't have Super Mario World 2, Super Mario World 1, you certainly don't have Super Mario World 2, I will make it a personal mission to keep an eye out on that one, out for that one for you, and if I find it, it's yours. Let's see what she had for us, though. All right, we had some Super Nintendo games here. Mech Warrior 3050. Didn't have that one. Top Gear 2, pretty sweet racer. We do have a copy of this. And then Metal Combat, which is really one I've been kind of on the lookout for no good reason. Because it's a Super Scope game. Do you know what the Super Scope is? It's that bazooka that they have for the Super Nintendo, the light gun. This is the sequel to Battle Clash. Basically, this is a one-on-one mech warrior game with a light gun. I don't know. It sounds awesome. And this is the sequel, so they probably got everything right. You know, fixed whatever problems the first one had. It's none of these are expensive games. But two of them are ones we didn't have for our Super Nintendo collection. It's always a treat to drop another Super Nintendo game or two into our library. Especially for the right price. And then we had some N64 games here. She gave us this whole lot, by the way, $1 each. So that was $3 there. Got some N64 games here. Dual Heroes. Made in a time where 3D fighting could do no wrong, but N64 could far from do 3D fighting. All the good 3D fighters at the time were on the PlayStation. Sega Saturn couldn't really do them that well. There was a couple good ones. But Sega Saturn was really known for 2D fighting. That was where you wanted to go for 2D fighting. Go to PlayStation for 3D fighting. N64, not fighting. That's for sure. Racing, maybe. The occasional excellent Mario Party, maybe. The Zeldas, maybe, but certainly not fighting games. This is made by Cult Electro Brain, which gives you another idea of the level of quality. Not the worst company, but I challenge you to think of one AAA title Electro Brain ever put out. Doom 64. Oh, what a great game. What a great game. And the first time I'd actually found it in the wild for, you know, swashbuckler prices. I believe I spent $10 on this in a retro store about half a year ago. I'm sorry, half a decade ago. 5 years ago when I was out on the East Coast. And what really sets this one apart is the soundtrack. It's more ambiotic. The original ambiotic, atmospheric. The original had like heavy metal guitar MIDI, which was fine, but it was kind of cheesy. This was like when people tell you Doom is scary, they probably played a version like this. The music's off the hook. Very creepy music. So this is a great. And the other nice thing is the buttons are totally customizable, so you really can play this well on an N64 controller. Nice game. Dark Rift. It was really weird to find Dual Heroes and Dark Rift in this lot because they're both terrible. Probably the worst two 3D fighting games on the N64. They're just awful. But I was nothing but elated to find them because for $1, I'll take any fighting game under the sun. So there you go. I love fighting games, so even the worst ones. Cool. Oh, I was very happy about this. Anyone knows me, they know I'm a big Donald Duck fan. Donald Duck Going Quackers, which I believe we already have for the N64 and the Dreamcast. But it's always, I think, like, while this is probably a better game on the Dreamcast, it's something about having this game on a cart. It just feels right to me. I'm really looking forward to trying this one out. 007 GoldenEye. How can you go wrong there? Oh, and look at this. Did it really happen? It's double 007 GoldenEye. There were 2 of them in there. $1 each, can't front on that. And then finally, Wave Race 64, a game I played much too much of as a kid. I didn't know what as a kid, as a young adult, when the N64 was out. My buddy who had an N64 would go over to his house late at night, get out of our parents' house, would play his games. I was always more excited about playing Mario Kart than this. He was really into this. I don't know. A lot of people love it. It's a good game. It was bland to me. There were other games in the system I would have rather spent time with. So there you go. We had the 3 N64, 3 Super Nintendo games there for $3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 of these. A really, really nice collection of obscure, crappy titles you'd never want to pay more for $1 for, and really high-end shooting here. And Donald Duck. Really nice lot. I was really happy with this lot. So there you go. We spent $11 on those guys. All right. It's getting hot in here. All right. You guys ready to check out some more of Mage's Hollow? I hope I'm going to put me to sleep. I'll try to tell you guys a couple of interesting stories about my time there. But let's look at the rest of the landscape and see what else I had. Because I remember the fire pit. I remember the shops. I don't remember what else is outside of this area of commerce, the heavy part of town, the small part of our little hamlet. All right, let's go check it out. It's, once again, White Knight Chronicles for the PlayStation 3, a game I do not recommend today because it's not online anymore. It's basically a husk of what it used to be. But it had some magic at one time. Let's get back to it. Alright, gameplay. And this is it audio. I'll try not to throw my hat away this time. There we go, that's better. Can I get me a little more of that flute music, sir? Oh man, we're back at the Ren Fair. Hey, controller's still rocking. Good boy. You gotta love this little froggy, huh? Guest barred. Alright, so I see, again, that we've got our little area here. There's boxes and imports coming in and little touches. And I remember, I played this with my sister, and I remember one Saturday night, we're all sitting around this forest, and all of a sudden, I can see, I think I was sitting over here or something, and I can see some little guy with like this big honking nose and this giant mane of gray hair sitting here in the bushes. It was a player character. It was some guy named Louie. And rather than sit around with the rest of us and talk about, whatever other games we're playing on PlayStation 3, he would just sit in there and watch us. It was really creepy. And to this day, the magical thing about it, aside from my sister, he's the one other player character, only other PS3 player I know of who's still out there and I still am in contact with, a guy named Maviax. He's been on the ship before. He's been sitting in the mess hall. I think these days he hangs out in the old Minecraft servers. I think he's running a Minecraft server. But I may actually send him this episode because it was just that special of a time for all of us. And again, he had a house, a hamlet of his own that we would visit. What's up with this tree? Can I grab something out of this tree? This tree seems a little out of sorts from all the other trees here. I'm just noticing. Interesting, but it's pretty nonetheless. God, I remember just wandering around this place, looking, making sure every box, every bush, every fallen tree was in just the right place. And like any customizable game, you can only put in so much data before you're run out. So every little fence here, every little tree, every little house, I took the time to put in. made the decision on. There's another mage here. She's studying up. Hi there. Can I buy some high-quality plant materials from you? Lady, we're in the middle of broad daylight. Are you trying to get us arrested? How's that? You don't have any? Oh, that's too bad. Well, I guess I'll move to Cala frickin' Rado. Oh, yeah, you should go ask a lumberjack. Yeah, go ask a lumberjack. Oh, we got an insect bush. Let's find some insects here. Let's see. I found a beetle. How about that? This is awesome. And I remember the people who live in your town would add to I believe the quality of materials you sold. Let's see what this guy's up to. He looks a little tired. Trig. I wish I had more automation materials. I'm trying to write a research paper on them, but they keep resisting my magic. At this rate, my scholarly friends will laugh me out of the lecture hall. What a name dropper. If only I could find a miner to help me. Those fine men and women of the earth know all about automata, which is robots in this world. So here's a villager who's actually asking you, can we get some mining? Can we get a miner in this town? Well, you know, I was committed to making this a mecca for magic users, so I don't think he ever got his wish. So this looks like this is kind of the residential area. And again, even these tall trees, you know, I decided that they would be there. I tried to fill up as much of this town with trees as possible. And, you know, obviously, there were people out there who would make just basically a town with one shop in there. And then they would, you know, stack the stats to get just the best items in there. You know, what's the term? They would min and max their town. Well, for me, this is just as exciting to make a fun place to travel to and hang out in as it was a place to get items. And it looks like, I mean, look at all the area here I still had to develop. This is a very grindy game. It would take people hours. I think actually another reason that I never developed that area out there was I think I had just run out of data. I really wanted everything to be very enclosed, very tight-knit. This was this is a forest, a glade, deep in the woods where, you know, not every Tom, Dick, and Harry could reach, because this was about magic and mystery and scholarly pursuits. We got someone praying here. I don't know if I want to disturb her. For all I know, I could touch her shoulder and, you know, make her botch a, you know, level 8 spell that creates a big paradox or something. I don't want to do that. Alright, so what else did I want to look at? I said we want to do something here. Let's head back to the fire. And I'll tell you a little something about my time here in Mage's Hollow. I remember, and, you know, this is a personal story. And hopefully it doesn't, you know, take us out of this world too much. But I remember there was this this chick I met who came into town one day, and her name was Phasma. And she must have been like 5 foot, slender build, you know, long brown hair, no glasses, no facial hair. And she was just off-kilter enough to be a magician. You know how mages can be? They could just be a little off-kilter. And that was definitely how Phasma was. We spent a lot of time together. And there was actually a little bit of a romance there. For a bit of a week. About a week. And, you know, these online romances, they come and go very quickly. They you know, they spark like wildfire. And they can go out like a fuse in an instant. And that was basically my time with Phasma. But for that week, that month or so, we were inseparable. We were in adventures together. Or we just sit here around the fire and take things in. And you know, I think that's the beautiful thing about these online adventures, these online RPGs, is, you know, we're always going to remember the time that Psycho Mantis read our memory card We're always going to remember the first time that we heard, "I'm sorry, your princess is in another castle." We're going to remember the first time we used the Konami code. Maybe not the first time, but we'll remember it existed. But that's something we all share. The great thing about these online games is they were something that maybe only 1 or 2 or 3 of you out there will ever remember or ever shared. And that's what truly made these RPGs unique for each and every adventurer who logged in. Alright, we're going to leave it there. We have to get back to the ship. We're running out of time. I can't believe it's been that long. But we do have a question to ask. We do have to get back to it. Excellent flute music there. Let me get my hat. Oh, this foot is like, man, oh man. I heard somebody told me rice. Is that right? Which is rest, ice, constrict, and elevate. Well, I've been standing on it. It's hot in here. It's not wrapped. I'm in bare feet, and it's the lowest part of my body, and I wonder why it's hurting. All right, let's get over to the bag that tells no tales here, where you folks have the opportunity to write to me and say, "Hey, Cap and Raz, what's your take on this?" And I encourage you to write me anything. You can write it in the mess hall. You can send it to me as a whisper on YouTube, on Twitch, on gaminggalleon@gmail.com. And I will print it out for you, stuff it in the old bag, and who knows, you may be a part of Gaming Galleon history. How about that, huh? We have a message here all the way from Normandy, France today. Normandy, France. Can you believe that? Now, I don't know how close that is to Mage's Hollow, but I have a feeling it's a little farther than just across the street. This comes from a very loyal crew member that I've met and have conversed with, enjoyed a lot of time with. His name is J-Nerd, and he says, "Cap and Raz, have you played RPG Maker? If so, which version? Are you familiar with the RPG Maker series? Did you know that they were out there? Have you ever thought, gee, Earthbound is great, but my town was a little more interesting. If only I could make my own RPG." Well, there's been a franchise that's been out there for a long, long time. And I believe, I don't know, I know it's been, the one I have here was published by Age Tech. I don't know if these have been made by the same company for years and years, but I have the original. Now, I think talking to J-Nerd, he says he's been using the 3DS version, which to commit, you know, your time and effort to making an RPG for the 3DS, that's big news. That's serious business. But here we are. We have RPG Maker with a bunch of stickers on it, including the price tag I got mine for a very, very long time ago. So long that it's fading here. For $5. And as you can see, this one guy is sitting there, and all of his dreams are turning into reality right in front of him. What an interesting prospect to be able to make your own RPG. Have I played a lot of this? No, not really. The nicest thing about this game was, if you're not a creative sort like myself, there's actually a pre-made RPG on here. So there's, you know, at least I know there's something I can play on it. And this game is so deep that at least the PlayStation 1 one came in a 2-disc set, but it's only 1 disc. But they put it in a 2-disc set because it comes with 2 separate manuals. This one looks hilarious. This one is huge. This is simply manual 1 of 2. System data. What is manual 2 of 2? Oh, hold on. Oh, here goes the foot. God! Oh, jeez. Oh my God! I need a crutch. Where? Give me a peg leg. Something. God. I used to have a walking stick. I left it at a friend's house. Manual 2 of 2 is the anime maker and the scenario mode. So look at that. You've got the nuts and bolts of how to use the tools, and then it's a whole other manual to make scripted cutscenes. Basically, this thing was on the PS1, a 32-bit system, and it gave you the ability to make 16-bit RPGs, like a Final Fantasy or a Chrono Trigger. More of Final Fantasy. I think it was turn-based combat. But how fascinating. I remember when this came out, the most prolific gaming publication of the time, Electronic Gaming Monthly, held a contest for people to make RPGs, put them on a PlayStation 1 memory card, and then send them into the magazine to be picked as the winner of some sort of grand prize. And throughout the years, you'll see these in stores. They still make them. There was at least 2 on the PlayStation 2, maybe 3. I don't ever remember one being made for the PlayStation 3. Apparently, it seems like they have moved into the handheld realm, which makes sense. You know, I think the hardest part about making one of these games would be making a competent graphics engine for them, which is probably why you're never going to see one of these on maybe a PlayStation 4 or a PlayStation 3. And what does that say about, modern gaming? It's becoming less and less creative because the games are becoming so elaborate and so expensive that, everything is being dumped into the most surface of needs to make these games attractive enough to buy and make their money back. So here you are, Jay. Thank you for reminding us that these are out there. They're generally pretty cheap. And I mean, if you're a creative person and you have a vision, that's a lot of time you're going to be spending there. A lot of value. And it really comes into play with White Knight Chronicles because, here was an experience that I did get to make a little bit of an RPG because people got to come into my world and see, what down I had in my head and my heart. So thank you, Jay. I appreciate the question. And once again, if you have a question, gaminggalleon@gmail.com. Don't be afraid. I don't bite. Well, I do bite, but it's generally not humans. Chicken Parmesan. If you're a chicken Parmesan, I will bite you. Fair warning. All right, that's it. Thanks again for another adventure here on the Gaming Galleon. Once again, I'm Captain Raz. This one was a long time coming. I've wanted to share Mage's Hollow with you guys for a long, long time. It's going to be sad going back to Indianapolis and leaving this world behind. I'm going to take a step off the ship, take one more little walk around my town, one more little walk around my head, and then head back home. All right, guys. We'll see you next time. Not sure where. Not sure when, but I know one thing for sure. We're going to go there together. So until then, what an adieu to ye Spanish maidens. What an adieu, ye ladies of Spain. For we received orders for to see Mage's Hollow. And we may never see ye fair ladies again. Keep your powder dry, my friends. Oh my God. Oh, that's good.